Okay, we're gonna do this real quick for you now, Mr. Duca. Hearing regarding, agenda item number 9, hearing regarding the request of Dunkin' Donuts, Inc., DBA Dunkin' Donuts for a common vicular license, 582, 598 Washington Street. Victor Cavallo, and represented by Mr. Ed Fleming. This is Mr. Fleming, who is representing Victor Cavallo, who is a owner of many Dunkin' Donuts here in the city of Quincy. And Mr. Fleming, why don't you tell us what the Cavallo's next venture is?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Ed Fleming, here for Quincy Donut Inc. Victor Cavallo is with me today. As you indicated, this is regarding property at 588 Washington Street, formerly known by all of us as Wild Willie's Burgers. Wild Willie's went out of business and left the facility some time ago. And Victor was able to negotiate a lease with the Rose and David Chu, who own the property, for the purposes of opening a new Dunkin' Donuts facility. As you know Victor very well. Victor owns a number of different facilities, including the original Dunkin' Donuts on Southern Artery, the facility, the drive-through kiosk facility on the Granite Street, on the Quincy Granite Plaza. He also owns a facility at the corner of Southern Artery and Washington Street, which will remain open, even if this facility is approved, until such time as a future decision is made relative to that business. And they have a wonderful reputation in the community. This property is as I said to the zoning board a couple nights ago, this is an ideal property for a Dunkin' Donut with a drive-through because it's so large. It's a 49,820 square foot parcel. It's zoned Business B. The commercial building that's built on the site is about 3,800 square feet. The new Dunkin' facility will occupy about 1,800 square feet of the facility, and the remaining 2,000 square feet will be utilized by another retail user. In his negotiation with the Chews, Victor and Quincy Donut has the opportunity to actually sublease that space. They haven't done so yet. They've entertained some interest in the facility, but they have not yet chosen a tenant for that space. If that tenant needs additional licensing, that tenant will be back before this board in order to do so. Victor is seeking to operate the new Dunkin' facility from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. It will provide for seating for 10 patrons, and there are 31 parking spaces located on the property. The site will be redesigned, because the parking will be reconfigured for the drive-through facility that will be located on the site. And the drive-through facility will require that cars enter the site, travel around the building in a one-way travel direction to the rear of the site, where the facility will then have 4 separate lanes. The travel lane will split into 4 separate lanes. And the lanes are going to be different and handled differently than they have for other Dunkin' Donut facilities, in that one of the lanes will be for pre-orders. Now in the new age of mobile ordering, folks are allowed to now order their drink before they enter into the site. And by doing so, they are allowed to bypass all of the travel lanes by going around in the 4th travel lane directly to the window on the opposite side of the restaurant and to pick up their order. There will be 3 additional lanes. Those 3 additional lanes will provide for a standard lane where there will be a speaker system, as there are on many other Dunkin' facilities, where a party can place their order. But there will also be 2 mobile kiosk lanes where parties can actually pull up to a mobile kiosk and actually punch in their order on a keypad and swipe their card to pay for their order and then drive up to the window. All 4 of those lanes will therefore then merge into one lane for one pickup window on the opposite side of the Dunkin' Donut facility. This Dunkin' is the first of its kind. And when I said that to the zoning board, everybody kind of rolled their eyes because we have so many Dunkin' Donut facilities in the area. But Dunkin' has, this is first of its kind, not only for the drive-through facility that we're talking about, but also because Dunkin' is actually rebranding their facility as a Dunkin' in name alone. So the Dunkin' Donuts facility will be known as Dunkin'. signage that was approved and discussed with the zoning board of appeals will provide as such for the Dunkin' Donuts to be utilizing the name Dunkin'. There's new colors and new branding that's part of the facility as well. The site plan shows in detail how the site will operate. There will be a one-way travel lane around the building. The lane will split into 2 and then into 4 separate lanes. The drive-through lane with the speaker will be furthest away from the homes that are located along Hershey Place and also in the rear of the site. The 2 additional lanes will be mobile order or punch pad lanes where people can actually order without utilizing the speaker, swipe their card, pay for their order, and then move to the drive-through window. And the last lane that will allow for vehicles to pre-order their drinks, bypass all 3 of the other lanes, and go directly to pick up their order. What this allows the Dunkin' to do is to move the queue along much more quickly, but it also will limit the queue that actually exists at the site in the first place. As part of this application, Victor also hired Jack Gillen to do an analysis of the traffic and analyzed the ability of queuing for this drive-through facility, but also analyzed the egress to and from Washington Street. This is on the right side of Washington Street in that in the traffic report it was determined that about 88% of the traffic that will enter this site will be coming from the south. We'll take a right-hand turn into the facility, and then we'll leave the facility, and about 75% will take a right-hand turn out of the facility. So there'll be very little left-hand turn traffic. We asked Jack also to study, however, that in the event that there are left turns from this, would there be any breakage of traffic that would allow for a left-hand turn into the site by taking a left and also out of the site. And interestingly enough, there are 2 lights, one on the left side of this facility and one on this side of the facility that create breaks in the traffic, natural breaks in the traffic because of the lights that will allow for left-hand turn lanes. The reality, however, is that very few of the vehicles that will be coming to this site will be taking lefts out of the facility, certainly during the morning rush hour traffic, which is when we anticipate that the volume will be its highest. And the management of the lanes and the queuing lanes with these other mobile orders and the pre-orders will actually allow the traffic flow to flow more frequently and avoid any backup or congestion in that particular area. Dunkin's very excited about this new brand. The goal is to create an on-the-go beverage service. Really a real concentration on the on-the-go and the beverage service aspect of their business. And when we talked about this new brand coming online, there was no question that Dunkin' wanted it to start in Quincy, since its initial store also started in Quincy, and chose Victor, of all of its owners, as Victor owns the original Dunkin's Donuts facility on Southern Avenue. So it was really important to Dunkin' that this new branding start here in Quincy. So we have another story, right? Another story of hopefully another successful business that started here in Quincy. We had an opportunity, as I started to indicate, to appear before the Zoning Board of Appeals, where we requested a special permit for the drive-through facility as we're required to do. That was held and heard on August 8th, and it was approved after hearing before that board. That decision will be signed and filed with the city clerk shortly. We did also have an opportunity to meet with the neighbors at Councilor Kroll's request. We appeared at a neighborhood meeting actually at the Wild Willie's facility, and there were some concerns raised by some of the residential neighbors about the drive-through facility. Primarily folks that live on Hershey Place, I believe it is, which is a very small, very narrow, almost driveway-style street that have homes along both sides in this area. And the one neighbor in the rear, Charles Palmer, who spoke at the zoning board of appeals, raised concerns primarily at the time when we made the presentation about the location of the dumpster, which was initially located in the far left corner, that has been since removed and moved over to the right-hand corner, and also raised concerns about the noise from the drive-through lanes coming from the speaker. The speaker was identified and located furthest away from the homes. We talked about the mobile lanes and the pre-order lane. And what Victor also did is he hired a professional landscape architect to actually improve the landscaping all around the site. There was a full landscaping plan. This is actually the landscaping plan here that widened the landscaping buffer and increased the plantings in that particular area to really buffer the noise to any of the neighbors. I believe that the zoning board was satisfied with that. I know Mr. Duca was at that meeting. I believe at the end of the day they were satisfied with it. There was some discussions about changing the way in which the drive-through lane worked, but at the end of the day, this lane actually provides for a 17-car queue. It's the longest queue that Dunkin' has available to itself. And the goal was really that no traffic ever back up onto Washington Street. The concern about redesigning this by pulling it away from the residential homes and closer to the building would significantly shorten the queue and potentially cause backup onto Washington Street. So at the end of the day, after quite a bit of discussion at the zoning board, the board decided that that was not really appropriate to do that, and felt as though this redesign, with all of the landscaping amenities and other aspects, and they may have, and I can't remember, Mr. Duca also requested additional fencing. There was fencing being provided along that buffer area as well. Those steps they felt was satisfactory to really address the concerns of the neighborhood that were raised that night. So that's our presentation. Again, we're excited about the new concept, and the councilors, both spoke very highly of Mr. Cavallo. As you well know, he's a great member of the community and a great business person that gives back significantly to the community.
So as I look at this plan, Counselor, most of the activity is going to take place behind the building. You said 17 car queues for each lane, or is that just in total 17 cars?
I believe it's in
before
total.
it backs up to Washington?
Yeah, I believe it's in total.
And this is 4 lanes going into one pickup window?
I assume they queue and then they're told to go forward?
Is there
Yeah.
like a stoplight? Is there a green? Who
There's
gets
a-
the queue? How do you know?
It's a good question.
I think it's on the back. I think it's
Out the back of
the,
here.
it's the last one.
There's a bar across that is across or on the top of the lanes. I told Victor he didn't have to bring all this out.
I didn't bring all the names now.
Yeah, this doesn't show it, but
Right.
there's a bar that is actually that runs across each lane that tells the customer when they can go to the window. So it's controlled in that way.
So when their order's ready, to be given the queue to go?
That's right, that's right. And priority is obviously given to those pre-order customers so that they'll be able to flow through that lane without stopping. But then the bar that actually sticks out from each of these lanes will then tell them or cue them that they can pull into the travel lane.
Are you going to be doing any cooking, or is it going to be delivered?
There'll be some baking, minimal baking, so like bagels, muffins, but no frying. The donuts will be coming in from the commissary.
From the other places?
Correct.
How is this gonna impact your drive-through at your other 2 locations? One after and one before? I mean, I know there's gonna be,
Yeah, we feel there'll be an impact, mostly probably at the corner of Southern Island and Washington, with some impact in Weymouth as well. Weymouth has a very short stack, hard queue to get in and out of, so we think we're gonna get some of that overflow that we're missing now. The people that actually stay on 3A and don't go up Washington Street. We're not sure how the one at Southern Island and Washington Street will be affected at this point.
does anybody in the audience have any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, I do have a couple of letters that I wanna read into the record. Is it, which one am I reading in? This is, this one here.
Yes.
Councilor Crowell, thank you for your letter which we got last week and the information about the public hearing regarding Dunkin' Donuts at 588 Washington Street. Thank you also for a copy of Attorney Fleming's July 27th, 2017 letter referencing a neighborhood meeting and the issues raised. Oddly though, we lived behind the location of Wild Willie's, we received no notice of such neighborhood meeting. However, it seems our concerns regarding traffic was at least raised at the meeting. Given it is already a done deal that Dunkin' is moving in, we have noticed the work being done there, we did not attend the 8/8/17 meeting, for which we did receive a notice from the zoning board. That will make 3 Dunkin' Donuts within 1 mile. 1 Dunkin' Donuts 3/10 of a mile at the corner of Southern Artery and Washington Street, which already has lines at its drive-through as early as 6:10 a.m. Then there's Dunkin' at 543 Southern Artery, which one drives another 2 miles up. In Vere to Newport, there's another Dunkin' Donuts at 195 Newport Ave. A total of 3 miles from the Wild Willie's location. But before you get there, you pass 2 other Dunkin' Donuts, one in Quincy Center, one in Wollaston. But from a quick Google search, there are 20 Dunkin' Donuts. If Dunkin' had chosen the Pizza Hut location on the opposite side of Washington Street from Wild Willie's, heading towards the Fort River Bridge, that'd be okay, as it would not add to the already difficult exit from side streets in the morning rush commute. With that said, it is likely that we will not make tomorrow's 8:15 meeting, particularly when it is 4 p.m. when we work. Therefore, this email to you, Ms. Crispo and Mr. Duca. And that was from Ed and Felicia, what's the last name? Is it Ed?
No, it's
Okay,
Where do they live to?
doesn't say. And then I have a letter from Councilor Brad Kroll. Good afternoon, my sincere apologies for not being present at today's hearing. However, as many board members are aware, my wife and I just welcomed my son to the world a few days ago. I'm writing you today regarding the application of Dunkin' Donuts at the former Wild Willie's site. I'd like to begin by expressing the fact that the Cavallo Group are extremely competent operators who have a solid track record owning and operating Dunkin' Donuts shops throughout the city of Quincy, and quite frankly, they're good guys. I did host a neighborhood meeting, and this application has moved through the ZBA up to this point. What I'm wondering and asking if the board to consider is an earlier close time of 9 p.m. versus 10 p.m. I think this action would go a long way with the neighbors who directly abut the property. Thank you, Ward 2 Councilor Brad Kroll. Those are all of the communications that I have regarding Wild Willie's. I was curious to see how the queue would work. I like the lighting system on it. I imagine in 10 years, you will not even be able to drive up and get a verbal order from Dunkin' Donuts. You'll be going in, doing the punch through and all the order before.
I
so.
certainly think that that's their hope. And that they anticipate actually the mobile order will be significantly used to the point where the people don't stop at all. They pre-order
And then just drive up.
and they simply drive up.
I do have one question. Did Jack Gillen take into consideration if the bridge went up in his traffic study?
The new bridge being open?
Yes.
I don't recall him talking about, whether or not that was considering the new bridge being open. I did provide that report to the zoning board of appeals though for their review during the meeting, so they did reference it and there was some discussion about it during that meeting. But I can't recall whether or not he took credit for the bridge being open.
Mr. Duca?
I gotta tell you, I have a Dunkin' Donut mobile app on my phone, it's terrific.
That's kind
But I'm in favor of
Jay,
it. I think the Cavallos are a great operator, and I'm in favor of the proposal. The hours of operation, I don't know what we should do about that.
If I could speak to that, Mr. Chairman? I actually spoke with Councilor Crowe earlier today, and he said 10. So I was a little, I mean, I know, Mr. Chairman, you mentioned 9 o'clock to me, so I was a little surprised by that letter. He asked me if we could agree to 10 o'clock, and I called Victor and ensured that he could agree to 10. So 9 o'clock would be a little bit earlier than we'd feel comfortable with. We did roll it back we thought initially to 10 o'clock, which we thought was a nice compromise to the community from an earlier proposal, which was 11 or later.
I would say if Mr. Chairman, I would say if there's no impact to the neighbors, if the mitigation that they're offering with the fence and the plant, if there is no impact, I don't see why 10 o'clock should be an issue.
We can always look at it.
Yeah, we can
later
always
on.
look at it,
I have no issue with 10 o'clock either.
I have no issue with the proposal either, but all this talk, I'm thinking about running out and getting a coffee. I'll be right back.
Where's Jay's at?
He's the end.
Any other comments, questions? Board members, comments, questions?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to grant the request of Quincy Donuts, Inc., doing business as Dunkin' Donuts for a common victular license for 582-598 Washington Street. Hours of operation from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., represented by Mr. Ed Fleming.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to grant the request of Quincy Donuts, Inc., DBA Dunkin' Donuts for common vicular license for 582-598 Washington Street. 5 a.m. till 10 p.m., represented by Mr. Ed Fleming. I'm going to take a roll call vote. Chief Barron,
Yes.
Commissioner, Director Duca,
Yes,
City Clerk Crispo.
No, and I'm only gonna say that I think you run a very good business here, but I do think that the 9 o'clock closeout would be best, where, then the employees would be leaving around 10 for the people in the neighborhood, but your concept is great. I think that, I wish you success, but I think the 9 o'clock would have been a better.
Chief Keenan.
I'm gonna say yes, but I do have one suggestion on the thing with the dumpster, where the dumpster placement is. I don't care where the dumpster is necessarily, but if you could work with your dumpster company and try and get them for a later pickup. Oftentimes, the complaints that we get are early dumpster pickup, so I'm supportive 100%, but just as a suggestion, so we don't have to come back and revisit a problem or whatever, but I'm 100% supportive.
So I'm going to vote yes on this also, so it passes 4-1. On the dumpster issue, myself and Director Duca were out there the other day. The location of the dumpster where it is currently, is that where it's going to stay?
No, sir.
And where is
So
it?
The back right corner. So
Back
you would
right,
always
the
drive
farthest
straight,
way?
yeah, straight right
Okay.
into it.
And on, what was the other item? That was it, right?
Yep.
That's it then. So you're all set, 4-1, okay?
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. I know Mr. Duca has to leave, so thank you very much for... And Larry, the only reason why I have you last is because I know that Mr. Duca had to leave at 5. Yeah, we're gonna do that, because they're not here, are they?
Who's that?
Okay.
Rizapa.
Oh, okay. All right. This is agenda item number 11, hearing regarding the request of the 4th Annual City of Presidents 5K Road Race to be held at 10 a.m. Saturday, September 24th at 1 Marymount Parkway. Mr. Larry Luizzo. Larry, tell us what's going on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Nice to see you. Good afternoon. September 24th, Sunday morning, will be the 4th Annual City Presidents 5K. The race is looking to start at 10 a.m., so probably a setup time around 8 a.m. at Adams Field. This is the 4th annual, but it's the long-standing tradition of the Cochran Memorial Race as well as the Deegan Memorial Race. It's a great community event, and for the last 2 years, all proceeds that have been raised going to the Quincy Public Schools health and wellness programs, which we've seen close to $50,000 in the last 2 years for those programs. So, great community event, and looking forward to another successful year.
Any chance of getting the Quincy Police Health and Wellness maybe this year?
Hey, I'd be happy to discuss that one with you, too. Yeah.
Yeah, we can use some help.
We can do it too, right?
Yeah. You can hold my legs when I'm doing stuff.
No.
Okay.
And I have submitted the application to DCR because we would need to close down a portion of Quincy Shore Drive as well as the Furnish Parkway. The route is the same as the previous years, Marymount Parkway, Hancock down Fennel, Quincy Shore Drive, and so forth.
I assume Larry gonna need some help with police escorts and road
Absolutely.
closures and stuff. Could you just contact Captain McCusker?
Captain
Really
McCusker.
promote Captain McCusker.
Absolutely.
He'll assist you with whatever we need to do.
Will do.
Anybody in the audience have any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, looking for a motion.
I guess I can make a comment.
Okay.
Now that Jake bugged out. I'd like to make a motion to grant the request for the 4th Annual City of Presidents 5K Road Race to be held at 10 a.m. on September 24th at 1 Marymount Parkway, represented by Larry Liazzo.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, grant the request of the 4th Annual City of Presidents 5K Road Race to be held at 10 a.m. on September 24th, 1 Marymount Parkway. Mr. Larry Liazzo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You're all set, Larry.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Last item on the agenda, and I'm also apologizing for holding you up so long. Hearing regarding the request of GAV Deli LLC DBA Rosafa Mediterranean Bistro, 1089 Hancock Street, for a change of license category from wine and malt beverages to all alcoholic beverages. This item was previously approved by the licensing board, but we did not publish it in the paper as we are required, and we have done that now. So this is strictly just a paperwork application, so all I'm doing is looking for a motion to grant this.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to grant the request of GAV Deli DBA Rosafa Mediterranean Bistro, 1089 Hancock Street, for a change of license category from wine and malt to all alcoholic license.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to grant the request of GAV Deli LLC DBA Rosafa Mediterranean Bistro, 1089 Hancock Street, for change of license category from wine and malt beverages to all alcoholic beverages. Represented by Miss Antonetta Villa. All in favor?
Aye.
You're all set.
Thank you.
Thank
luck.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
With that, we do have one addendum to the to the agenda. We are switching our date of the September 12th meeting to September 19th. We have a couple of conflicts on the 12th and the 26th, I believe. So we're going to be doing, our next meeting will be September 19th. If we need anything done before that, we can always put it in for an emergency meeting if we do, but I don't think we will. So the next meeting will be on the 19th. With that, can I get a motion to waive the reading of the previous minutes, waive the reading of the
Previous month's minutes.
previous
I make the
month's
motion.
minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're all adjourned here. Thank you very much. Oh, one other question though, before I do go off. We did have our first positive West Nile mosquito pool identified in the city of Quincy. I know press releases already went out to the Quincy Sun and the Patriot Ledger, but just so people know that we did have it.
Do we license mosquitoes?
No, we don't have mosquitoes.
Okay.
But I highly recommend you going out at dusk and dawn, like with just a bathing suit on. Rub honey on yourself too.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, Chief.